Okay. All right. I'm with Deirdre May down in Australia. Deirdre, what's going on with you?
Hey, well, it's morning here. It's about 5 to 6 in the morning, so good morning.
Good afternoon for me. So, how are you finding autonomy? How has it affected your life? How did you come to get signed up with Autonomy in the first place?
Yeah, sure. Well, I've been following Richard Grove's material on and off for about 4 years now. I recently got onto it from your Free Your Mind conference. So that was really interesting. So how do I get onto the autonomy course? I'm not too sure, but I think I kind of registered uh, a couple of years back maybe, and then I got a lovely email last year asking if I wanted to enroll, and I wasn't too sure what autonomy meant, so I had to kind of look it up online, and it sounded really interesting. I wasn't too sure, but it sounded really interesting. So I signed up for it, and I'm so happy I did.
So, were you following the Peace Revolution podcast before?
Yeah, a little bit, as much as I could. I've got a few people that I follow, but because they've all got so much material and they talk about such amazing things.
So, you're interested in the truth?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's not enough of it.
The Free Your Mind you went to, where was it held?
Oh yeah, sure. I went to. I didn't attend. I've just watched the videos online. It was the one in Philadelphia.
Okay. Okay. Have you been to the States?
No, I haven't. I really would love to. I
Where
really would love to.
stop?
I beg your pardon?
What would be your first stop if you came to the States?
Gee, I don't know. Everyone.
Deirdre, the correct answer is Texas, of course. Yeah?
I was going to say that. I was going to say, oh, everyone talks about how lovely Texas is.
I'm joking, of course, but there are nice things about everywhere in the USA, depending on what your interests are. But yeah, you're between Brisbane and Melbourne, is that right? Or are you north of Brisbane?
Yeah, I'm north of Brisbane. I've really just only a couple of hours.
Okay. Okay, very good, very good. So, so you started watching the Peace Revolution, and you've got 4 kids. How does raising a family? How have the messages that you've learned through the years of studying things, of the things that matter? Do you know what I mean? What you would call, issues that are not exactly covered in the mainstream world, that are covered up intentionally. How have they affected your life? How have learning these things over the years improved your life and for you and your family?
Well, that immensely improved. Um, but before I started watching all of that material, I was already into alternative forms of kind of being, I guess, because I home birth my children, and that was interesting. Finding out that that's all kind of considered. Oh no, birthing is just a hospital thing. No, women don't birth at home. It's which was, I thought for my first child was normal. I thought, oh, hang on, I'm supposed to have an obstetrician, and I took the classical kind of direction that I was, I guess, sold.
Yeah.
And it ended up in the same direction that I had to have a cesarean. By no means of my own. I did my best. Well, I could have done my best if I was given the opportunity. considering that I was only 21 when I had my first child. And then I kind of left hospital and went home, and that was it. I was at home with my baby, and I had my mom and family, but it just felt really kind of isolating. It felt kind of, this doesn't feel kind of connected to anything. I felt like something was missing. And so when I got pregnant with my second child, I was, even before that, I was determined, no, this isn't right. There's something missing. So I looked up the phone book, and I found midwives, and they had groups, and so I started attending groups. And so for my second child, I had it all planned out to have a home birth, but she had three large calcium deposits in her heart at 20 weeks. And so that was kind of always in the back of my head. And so I don't think I prepared very well. So the midwife kind of called it and said, oh, hang on, we're having kind of some heart issues here. Because it was really kind of dipping too low that she felt comfortable. So I had a hospital birth with her as well. But my last two, I was completely determined. I think for my third child, my son, I got buried in all the information I could. I went really esoteric out there. I had a blessing way. That was really fun. And so my last two, I had home births, and I'm so happy I did. And so after that, I wanted to know more information. And so then, kind of the Free Your Mind conference kind of just, I don't know, appeared in my searches. And so it started from there. So I've always kind of liked alternative stuff, because it just seems like we're just sold how to live, sold how to be. Yeah. Sorry, that was on a tangent.
Oh, that's great. I would have asked you what you just said anyway. I was going to ask you. So the first two were born in the hospital. So you knew something, and it was a building up process. But so by your third child, you knew, okay, this isn't going down, and you did it your way. So your second two children were born at home. Is that right?
Yeah. So my older three were at home when my last child was born, and it was great. From comparing the differences, I absolutely love it. It was great. I had my little baby, and then I kind of was laying in bed. I didn't have to go anywhere. Nobody was checking up on me. I had two midwives with me. So and they don't really do too much. They just want to make sure that I'm okay, baby's okay. They do what they have to do. And because they're independent midwives, they don't really like interfering with mother and baby, especially after birth. So that was really, really lovely too.
Did you have any conflict during the process with state entities? Like, were they wanting you, like in the buildup during the pregnancy when you went to the doctor or the hospital for checkups? How did that go? Was there any incidents with that?
Yeah. So I only have one checkup for my son and my last two, my son and my daughter. So I went for it's a 20-week checkup, and they just want to make sure that baby's okay, and everything's going to be fine. And that's the only checkup I did with both of those. The doctor didn't even know that I was going to have a home birth. I didn't feel like that it was any of their business.
Exactly. None of their business. Fantastic. That's amazing. So during the process of home birth, what happened? You were researching it, and did that lead you to other topics that are relevant to the whole theme around the peace revolution and these kind of topics? Is that how you got onto the Tragedy and Hope website? Did that, or had you already known? How's the order of the process of? I guess you could call it your waking up process. How did that work?
Yeah, sure. What was the first thing? So I just had my last child, so she was probably about 6 months old, and I don't know. I was watching Netflix, and what came up on Netflix? What was that show? The Secret came up on Netflix. And so The Secret was
See,
on Netflix.
okay. No, I haven't seen.
Yeah, and yeah. Oh, in comparison to what you already know, it's kind of like meh. But then for everything else that I saw, I kind of went, wow, what is this stuff? Who are these people? And so from there, I started looking from those people, and I can't even remember who was on there now. So I kind of went and started looking into those people, and then I came across the video. I can't remember the movie now. Sorry, I can't remember the movie. A different type of movie that is really esoteric conversations, and that was the building process. I don't know. I can't remember the movie, but it talks about at the end of Venus Project or something.
Yeah, that doesn't ring a bell for me, but I'm not sure. So, what other um, what other websites have you been following as well besides the Peace Revolution, Tragedy and Hope?
Yeah, sure. I follow an Australian uh, researcher, yeah, Max Egan. He has really beautiful videos, really up, uplifting, yeah.
I did not know Max Egan was Australian. I never really thought about it. I've seen a few of his videos. I know he's straight to the point. He's hardcore, isn't he?
Yeah, but his videos are always beautiful. Like they're always very, what's the word? Connected, very real. Yeah.
I would definitely like to check him out more. The few times I've seen him and I remember his name, it's like, whoa, this guy, he knows what's going on. That was my thought about Max Egan. Cool. Who else? Who else do you follow, or have you been following?
Sure. Sure. Yeah, Mark Pessio, I have been for a while. His material kind of his natural law video kind of changed my life. Like I first watched him while on the Free Your Mind conference, but I didn't actually occur to me that was the person that organized it. I kind of was looking at everybody's video, and then I'll kind of go online and look at their web page and what else they do. So it took me a bit to kind of get back to, oh, hang on, that's the person that actually ran it. I think it was probably up to Free Your Mind 4 that I kind of realized that.
Yeah, Passio's natural law seminar is really interesting. And have you seen his Sacred Feminine, Sacred Masculine lecture as well? It's another 8-hour seminar. Have you seen that one?
Yeah, I've seen most of his videos. Yeah.
I'm 3/4 of the way through it. I'm taking notes. So if I ever get them finished, I'll definitely send you my cheat sheet, my notes on the subject. Yeah.
Yes, please, please. I like to watch them all the way through a couple of times, and then I start kind of taking notes so that I can. So I don't feel like I'm missing out on the video. I'll kind of pause it. I'll be like, okay, cool. That's really interesting. I'll pause it and I'll take notes. Doing it that way. That's how I study as well. So I'll watch videos all the way through, and then I'll play them back a couple of times over.
Yeah, me too. Good. So Passio, Max Egan, Tragedy and Hope. Um, Anyone else?
Ah,
What about Corbett?
yeah, they're only new to me. Like, I'm sure they've popped up. I'm pretty sure they've popped up.
Yeah.
As I've gone to Tragedy and Hope, and I've gone, oh, that's really great. I really need to check that out. And I'm really kind of I've got a certain amount of times that I can watch material, and so it'll be on my saved list probably to go check it out. But it wasn't until I joined the course that I was kind of like, okay, I really need to kind of watch these videos. That was really cool. What else have I saved from Autonomy? Also, the School Sucks project. That's really cool. I remember I've saved that from a few years back as well. But I kind of just like, I really wanted to get through Peace Revolution podcasts. But since I've done Autonomy, I've realized that, oh no, it's okay. I can kind of swap and switch, and I can go, okay, cool, I'm watching this right now. Oh, that's really interesting. So I'll just start watching it and get what I can out of it, like take notes. Because I found that if I didn't take notes, I'll be, oh, did I watch that already? Oh, what? So I'll have to re-watch it, and then I'll come to the realization, oh no, I remember that. And I felt like I was kind of doubling back that way. So I really like the note taking.
What are your thoughts on the Australian education system, and how do you go about it with your kids? How are they finding school, I guess? Do they go to school?
Oh, yeah. Currently my kids do go to school. When I was in Toowoomba, where I home birthed, my second child, no, I went to hospital birth. I started home birthing, but I was with the whole group, and they did what type of, it was an alternative school, so it wasn't school. It was kind of like a Steiner kind of type thing where you go and the parents help out, and it was really kind of kid-run education. So my oldest daughter, she attended, and I know one day she wanted to make a book, and so they stapled a bunch of pages together and helped to design a book, and she had this lovely book. I think I've still got it here. I think it was about lizards, because she was into lizards, and so she'd spend probably 10 minutes with one of the teachers, and they'd help her do some aspect. Oh, okay, let's draw a lizard. And then they would pass her on. No, okay, why don't you go see Suzanne, and let's go see what she's doing. And Suzanne might be out in the garden, and so she'd sit down with my daughter and go, okay, let's talk about what lizards eat. And it was really quite lovely. It wasn't until I had to move that I couldn't actually find any other quality education like that anyway. So she did have to go to school. And it's not till currently that I've had the opportunity to even homeschool them.
Yeah.
The current education in Australia is getting quite poor. It's I think a couple of years ago they decided to state that all Australian schools are now run as their own company, which I was really confused about. I was like, well, hang on. Company technically means that you're always running for a profit. There's, you've always got to be in the black. That's what my interpretation of company is. It's always profit driven. And so I'm like, well, hang on, where are they going to get this profit at the end of every year that they need to state that they have? Like, that's not viable.
From you.
Yeah. And I can actually see that. Like, the teachers look really stressed out. They look like they're under a lot of pressure to perform, and it's just the same stuff. It's like they're kind of, I can see it. They're bound by red tape, even how they can interact with their students, and they seem quite mechanical in all of that, and that they look really uncomfortable. They don't look satisfied. Like, I'm sure that they went into teaching, especially young children, went into teaching going, I'm going to change my world type inner calling, and it's just kind of being just crushed by red tape.
That's a shame. So the schools are. The school, like, for example, in your area, is it a private school or is it funded by the government?
Yeah, it's just a public school. I particularly went for a very small school because I like the idea of the kids having more one-to-one. So the school my children go to has maybe 420 students. So it's the smallest school in Hervey Bay.
What was the name of the school you mentioned before that you were happy with, but then you moved away? What was that called?
I'm not too sure.
It wasn't like Waldorf or Montessori or anything like that, was it?
No, that was it. They definitely applied that to their teaching model. It was a beautiful small school in Toowoomba. Um, I have no idea anymore. It was, oh my gosh,
Was
it
it
was like,
was it a unique, one of its kind of places, or are there more of them, throughout Australia or the world?
no, it was completely unique. It was completely unique even from the Steiner model, on how they were teaching it. I hope it's still running because it was just a beautiful school. By the time my daughter enrolled, it was so popular that they had to transition and um, hire out a separate play group area for the younger students coming in, because there's just not enough. It was too the capacity was too much because so many parents and there were so many different parents from different walks of life. It was kind of alternative kind of home birthing parents, or it was you know business parents, entrepreneurs, doctors were sending their kids there. It would Because it was just known to be so good, especially for the younger kids.
Yeah, good things like that sell themselves. So that the fact that it got
Yeah.
such a wide spectrum from the population of people, yeah, very interesting. So, what about, would you consider homeschooling in the future? What are your thoughts on that, about doing that?
Well, it's really funny. I've been talking about it a lot. I had the autonomy class had a meeting, and it just seems to be. I I am I am going to be homeschooling this year. Um, my neighbor, she's a homeschooler and she's currently moving at the moment, and so she donated all of her homeschooling material to me. So I've got uh, probably 50 homeschooling books. She gave me a lovely whiteboard. um, I've got a room set up. I've got beautiful desks for my kids. Like, I didn't kind of I've been looking into it. um, and I didn't want them just to be homeschooled on my kitchen table. I felt like that they deserved an actual desk, and so the older two so far have a big desk and it has a bookcase on top of it. Yeah, I am doing it, and there's not much effort. It's kind of just I have decided that that's what's happening, and I'm getting all this beautiful stuff for free.
That's great. So you are preparing to do this. So will this year be their last year in school then, for now?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I've got, long-time friends who are home birthers who are even just transitioning back to homeschooling themselves because they're finding that their children just can't communicate it anymore with each other, like just the siblings. Um, because I find that when my kids kind of go to school, they're kind of locked in. Oh no, you're only allowed to talk to this certain age bracket, but they talk to each other and they play with each other outside, at home, and outside of their school hours. So it's really kind of confusing for them. And then they get home and they kind of have missed out on, I don't know, even those few hours opportunities to try and communicate with each other. And so I find my 10-year-old daughter and my 6-year-old son kind of clash a lot,
Yeah.
because there's no kind of I don't know, she just gets used to just talking to people at her level, and then she gets very frustrated that she's got to now talk to somebody who's 6. But if they're home for the holidays, I don't get that conflict. It's really interesting.
Are you how familiar are you with the works of John Taylor Gatto, John Holt, Charlotte Iserby? What are your thoughts on their works?
Um, yeah, brilliant. Really, really kind of really insightful. Not kind of really insightful. Um, I
Oh,
I would really like to show the material to friends, uh, to my neighbors. Yes, yes.
I've got them here: Weapons of Mass Instruction and The Underground History of American Education. Essential books for anyone wanting to know what the education system is really about.
Yeah, you know what? I have just had this brilliant thought when out because I've started telling people that I'm homeschooling, especially family. So my sister-in-law, I said that I'm homeschooling. She's just turned 20, and her sisters like looked at me and they're like, "Oh, we'll make sure that you socialize them. They get their social interaction." And I didn't. That was kind of a no-brainer for me. I didn't really know how to react to that. But now I've got those beautiful books, so I can go, well, hang on, they're not really getting quality social interaction at school anyway. And I've got those lovely books there, and the interview that Richard did, I can kind of sit down with them and explain to them how I've come to the conclusion that I have, that this is a much better way to go about it. This is a much better, I'm going to raise a much more quality human being that's going to be able to get the most that they can out of life.
I also recommend, you may not have heard of John Holt. In any case, I will write it down for you later. He's definitely also what I consider an important read for anyone who's considering doing this. His most famous book is How Children Fail, and his other book's called How Children Learn. He was about a decade before John Taylor Gatto, actually. In many ways, you could argue he's the father of modern homeschooling, even though homeschooling existed for 1,000 years until the turn of the century, before government started making it mandatory. But yeah, good on you. I didn't realize that you were actually planning. I wasn't sure you're planning to do this. So that's the beauty of Autonomy, is you're going to have loads of support from all of us in the Autonomy group. You'll have unlimited amounts of resources and advice. And yeah, I think that's great. Definitely.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Well, it's always been in the back of my head that I wanted to do that. I wanted to kind of pick that up just because I could see where my children were at when they first started, and especially my older one, she's just started high school, and it's just for her kind of it when she would come home, she I just kind of did nothing at school. It was, she goes, it was this interesting. I laid my head down on the table, and the teacher didn't say anything because she was just too busy yelling at the other kids to just stop and pay attention.
Yeah.
I did find this very fascinating. I've got to say this. She said to me, "Oh, Mum, guess what? I got an A for math." Oh, for math. And I said, "That's brilliant, darling. That's brilliant." She goes, "Oh, well, hang on, Mum. If you put it into perspective on the level of class I am," she goes, "Yeah, I'm an A in line with a bunch of dunces." She goes, "Yeah, I'm bloody brilliant, aren't I?" And I'm like, "Oh, honey." Oh, kind of crushed my heart.
There's always a silver lining, I guess. How does this schedule work? School's about to be out next month. Is it the same Australia as it is in the States? The same kind of, the year will end. How do the quarters work? My point, I guess what I'm asking is, they out for good now for this semester?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so in Australia, they have terms. That's what it's called, and they generally last between 10 and 11 weeks, depending if it's a leap year, if that makes sense. So this year, there's 4 terms, and they are 10 weeks long each. And so I just finished term 1, which goes from the end of January until the Easter holidays.
Okay.
And then they have they had 2 weeks off, and so that they started again last week, and so that will go for another 10 weeks. They'll have another 2 weeks off June, July, another 10 weeks, and then October, September they'll have 2 weeks off, and then Christmas is the longest, is 6 weeks off between December and January. So it's not like the US. It just has a lot more breaks in between.
Okay. So when are you going to start your homeschooling? How long? When do they finish?
Yeah, so they finish at the end of the year. So my plan is to kind of interact with their teachers a lot more to find out where the teachers think that they're at. And also, I'm just going to kind of judge where they're at. I'll probably start at a lower level to what I think they're at, because it just just started hearing complaints from my daughter saying, "Oh, the teachers are starting to tell me that I should have already learnt this." Like, I don't know, division.
That is, Deirdre, that scarcity mentality being plugged into them. Yeah. Tell
Yeah, yeah.
tell you, yeah, you know, tell her daughter nothing. She has nothing to worry about. Nothing.
That's exactly right. I told her, I said, okay, well, look, you know what? Let's just find out where you're at. I said, even if I think she was in grade 6 at the time. I said, even if you are in grade 6, I said, let's just, why don't we just start off where you're confident? I said, if that's grade 4 level mathematics, then that's okay. And so I started off there just to build her confidence that, oh, hang on, yeah, that's right, I can do this stuff. And we watched a lot of online material and did a lot of online stuff. And yeah, I built her confidence back up to that she can do this, she can figure it out. And she came back to me, she goes, oh, I'm so angry, Mum. Like, she goes, I can't, she goes, what, do they give me like some type of 1-month course on division and apparently I'm supposed to know it for the rest of my life? I'm like, yeah, I know, that's pretty crappy. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. So we're talking early next year then, is when you'll start full time with the kids at home, is the plan anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my plan.
That's great. Well, that's great, Deirdre. Any final thoughts then on about anything?
No, I've really enjoyed my time. Thank you so much for the interview. This is the first interview I've ever done, and I'm so happy.
But I do have to actually, I got to take my kids to a Nerf war today, so it's serious.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very
cool.
much. I'm gonna